let's say, the housekeeping rules and the agenda. I leave the word now to Ger van den Kerkhof for Founders Make and Digitalis to tell us a few words about the European Digital Innovation Hub context. Ger, the floor is yours. I think the microphone is muted, Ger. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Thibaut. The next slide. Yes, thank you. Yes, as Thibaut already said, this webinar is organized by 3 different EDIs, but there's a lot more EDIs in Europe, European Digital Innovation Hubs. There's 151 in total. And all these hubs, they have basically only one purpose, which is improving the digital maturity of one or another target group. That can be companies, SMEs, but can also be public organizations. And the EDIs are most of the times they are consortia of different partners working together and collaborating to encourage companies, as it says here, to build capacity. And the goal is to increase the digital maturity of companies and public organizations through digitalization projects. So these EDIs give access to demonstrators. They organize proof of concepts, also build trainings, and tries to also connect companies to the financing market, public financing or private financing, to make these projects a reality. These hubs, they are projects founded by the Digital Europe program. So that means that they have a beginning and an end. And many of the hubs have started in end of 2022 or the beginning of 23. So they will run until end of 2025. Basically, that's it, Thibaut.
Thank you very much for the introduction about the European Digital Innovation Hub. And these hubs enable us to, let's say, organize, as you mentioned, sessions such as this one today. Now to explain you a bit about the topic of today, because some of you might be familiar with this concept of cascade funding, some others not. So it's good, I think, to still explain shortly what cascade funding is. It's a form of European funding to fund research and innovation activities, but it's kind of a different, I think, form than the usual ones. So in a few words about cascade funding, you should see it as, let's say, a mini call for projects, mini open calls, basically, which are launched and managed by a consortia of partners, which are themselves funding themselves by, let's say, a new project. So you see there's a small icon of a cascade, and it's literally actually a good representation because it's basically the European Commission is giving a pot of money for a project, and in this pot of money you have lump sum that can be allocated to other means, and this money is given to a consortium, such as, for example, a consortium of partner, and then this consortium of partner is free to organize its own open call. So it's kind of a specific system. This is called also third-party funding or cascade funding, but you kind of see and understand quickly why it's called cascade funding. And typically, this form of funding is interesting because it's quite fitted for small, collaborative, innovative projects, very close to the market, so high technological readiness levels, for those who know it, and small, let's say, projects of relatively small, which don't last very long. So projects of 3 to 9 months. These cascade funding calls, they're primarily targeting SMEs. They can be the one funding that are receiving this funding when they apply to these calls. But in some cases, RTOs, universities, and large groups, they can take part. Sometimes by subcontracting, sometimes they can be partner also without funding. So there's different ways also for them to let's say, take part in this type of open calls. What you need to know is that cascade funding, they're quite often one-shot calls because these calls, they're launched by people which are themselves in a European project. And this European project, as Ger mentioned, they have like a lifespan, which is quite short. So every time there's one call or 2 calls, so it's not something recurring. And most important also to keep in mind, the eligibility, the rules of the eligibility criteria, they are very different depending on the call, because it's every time a different consortia to organize these calls. So you have to look every time to these rules, the scope, this changing every time. Typically, the project type, it's mostly proof of concept projects that you might have as an SME. It can be demonstrated, it can be prototypes if you have an idea, for example. That's quite usual. Sometimes you can also fund small trainings or travels that your exploration missions that you want to do, but that's the most of the time it's demonstrators. Typically, we're talking about a project close to the market, short length. So we, of course, speaking about like small amounts. It's not big amounts that we're talking about. Typically, it can be from 10,000 euros to 60,000 euros per beneficiary, depending on the call as expected. And one thing which is very interesting also to understand, it's a system quite often of lump sum. So you apply for this call. If you receive it, if you win this call, you receive, let's say, a lump sum, in one or two payments quite often. But again, this is depending on the call. This is normally what it looks like, but there might be, let's say, variations in the different calls. Now, the key advantages of Cascade funding, it's very effective to fund, as I was mentioning, collaborative, innovative projects. It's quite useful also to access and to connect with Europe if you have not experienced an European project, because it's quite relatively easy to access these calls. And I think the most important thing if you have one thing to keep in mind about the advantages, is that it's quite simple. It's a very flexible process. There's a limited administrative process to be done. Normally, the application forms are not very long. There's very limited reporting. Quite often, there's no financial reporting once your project is launched. And you receive also a very quick answer when you submit. There's a limited amount of time between the submit, you receive an answer. If you're funded, you can start pretty quickly. So that's, I think, one of the key aspects. And also, we as cluster organization or as European Digital Innovation Hub, we also can help you throughout and to guide you throughout these steps. This is also a plus point, I think, of this type of funding. That's it, I think, from my side, because it's very interesting what I'm telling you, but it's maybe more interesting to hear it from someone who actually practiced it and to put it to practice. So, Quentin, if you're there, I would like to leave you the floor. Well, to hear and to tell us a bit more about, your experience of Cascade funding.
Yeah, thank you, Thibaut. Do you hear me well? That's okay?
Yeah, we hear you perfectly.
Yeah, perfect. So just to share my experience, to give you some context, so I'm Quentin from Cormatic Europe. Cormatic is an Australian engineering services company for which I created the European branch 1 year ago in Belgium. We offer customized technological solution for industrial companies to optimize their production. We work on 3 kinds of technologies: computer vision, AA, and robotics. And in 3 stages most of the time: consulting, that's where we do a proof of concept; designing, where we create the solution; and commissioning, to put the solution directly in place on the production site. We have a very pragmatic business model. We are vendor agnostic. We don't care about the IP, so the idea of our customer is their own property, and we put in place a refund policy. If the solution doesn't work, we will give to the customer full refund. That's for Cormatic. So we are a very small company. For the moment, we are at least 30% in the world and 5% in Belgium. And regarding the Cascade funding, so you can go to the next slide, Thibaut. Yes, thank you. That was very interesting. The first point, so the open call that we have candidated last year was Dream Open Call, and it was proposed to me by Pôle MecaTech. And I totally let myself be guided by their experience. And that's one of the most important points. The opportunity was very interesting because it allowed us to convince the client to launch the project. I'm not sure that without this lump sum, my customer didn't take the decision to do this proof of concept. So that's the first point. That was a very good point to start a new project with this customer. The second point is that I was very surprised by the ease of the application. That was something that was scaring me because at the moment, my company was established for only 6 months. So I didn't have any experiences about this kind of open call. And it was very smooth and it didn't not require more work than just writing a commercial offer for a regular customer. So that's the point. And the support that I had from the Pôle MecaTech was very helpful because I was totally guided and without any experience on my side about this kind of submission, it was definitely very easy to do. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So 3 tips that I can give to you from this experience. The first one is definitely that this kind of Cascade funding is definitely not for corporate. That is totally perfect for small companies because it's very agile on the submission, but also during the project. The administrative part that was maybe a little bit scary. There is not so much reporting. I didn't waste time on the admin part, so you can really focus on the engineering part, and that's a very good point. And the last tips that I can give you regarding this experience is that be close to your cluster, to the people who have experiences about that, because that's probably the major point. And it's very helpful. So be close to them and listen to all the opportunity you can find on this kind of open call and go to it. That's all for me.
Thank you very much, Quentin. Very clear. And thank you so much for this very, let's say, practical and hands-on testimonial on how it worked for you. Thank you so much. Hopefully it can also inspire people that are a bit hesitant because it's sometimes European funding. It's a bit can be a bit scary, but I think it's very helpful testimonial. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're now going to pass on to the next speaker. It's as I was mentioning in the introduction, we're moving to say the main course of this webinar. We're going to present you now 3 Cascade funding opportunities. And the first one is dedicated on, they're all in slightly different scope. So it's quite interesting, I think, for you, depending on what you are interested to do. And we're going to start with the first one, which is presented by Ger, and it's one dedicated on the topic of artificial intelligence. Ger, if you're all set, I'll leave you the floor.
All set, Thibaut. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Thibaut. So we now know what Cascade funding is, and we also know that it's very easy to access and very low threshold to participate. But in many occasions, these Cascade funding calls are not so very easy to find. So that's why we present to you 3 projects that are already running, European projects, and which work with Cascade funding experiments. You can go to the next one, Thibaut. So the first project is the AI Regio project, AI Regio 5.0. It's quite a big project with 40 partners involved from 18 countries. The purpose of this project, the goal of the project is to try to promote the adoption of artificial intelligence and edge computing in the manufacturing sector. That's the underlying goal. And the project does this by combining and connected several already existing networks. That's why it's also such a big project. and delivering services within these networks. And one of the core elements in this project is the connection with the European Digital Innovation Hubs. The coordinator is an Italian university, Politecnico di Milano, and the project is already running for more than a year, and it ends in December 2025. If you go to the next slide, Thibaut. So here it's an overview of the project. I will come back to the right-hand side, the experiments and the open calls. But as said, it's quite a big project, 7.5 million euro, and it lasts for 36 months, 3 years, and is spread over 15 countries. The next one, Thibaut. This is the consortium. Politecnico di Milano, left in the top side, is the coordinator. And then there's the other 42 participants, all spread all over Europe. Next one, Thibaut. Okay, so one of the core elements in this project is what we call experiments or trials. And they are divided into 3 different segments. First of all, there's didactic factories on the left-hand side. These are all kinds of different experiments in a lab environment, managed and organized and executed by the partners of the projects. These experiments are now running already, and they are all focused around the topic of the project, so AI and edge computing. And these didactic factory experiments can also are accessible via the website of the AI Regio project. Then in the middle, there's SME-driven experiments. So these are experiments in a real industrial environment, driven, managed, and executed by SMEs. And these are SMEs which are partner in the project. So there's a few SMEs which are a partner in the project, and they execute these experiments. And then on the right-hand side, and that's where we are talking about now, is the open call experiments. And in the AI Regio project, there's 2 open calls. One has already passed and the second is upcoming. Next one, Thibaut. And the open calls, they are accessible to anyone, in fact, to any manufacturing SME. So you can, as an SME, you can participate by yourself. There's no additional partners necessary. And an SME, this is the definition, the European definition of an SME. It's less than 250 employees, less than 50 million turnover, and less than 43 million balance sheet. That's if you have all these parameters, then you are an SME. You can submit multiple experiments, but there's only 1 proposal per SME which will be accepted. Subcontracting is allowed, so if you can't do everything yourself, you can subcontract some of the tasks to another organization. And there is different costs which are eligible, not only your personal costs, but there's more costs that are eligible. And you can find that on the AI Regio website, where you can find, by the way, all the info on the open call. 60, a little bit too fast, people. 60% of the eligible cost is funded by the project, and up to a limit of 60,000 euros per experiments. Then you can go to the next one. So on the first open call, there were 3 topics selected. You can see that on the right bottom side. The project lasts for 8 months. The call was opened in May 2024. And the projects, they last until January 2025. So these are now in the final phase or already finalized, these open call projects. We saw that there were 48 proposals submitted from 20 different countries, and 10 were selected. So apart from, let's say, the low threshold, the chance that you will manage a proposal is also bigger than in normal European projects. The next one, Thibaut. Okay, now I'm going to elaborate a little bit on the second open call, which is now upcoming in this project, and it has not really been fixed yet. So all the dates, numbers, and topics are still preliminary, but they will be exposed very soon. It's the same funding rate and the same requested funding as in the first open call. The topics can be a little bit different. but the projects will last for 8 months, and we expect them to start in April 2025. The call will open, if you go to the next slide, Thibaut. So only one proposal is accepted here. The next one, I think you can skip this one. So here it says, indeed, also for the second open call, there will be a financial support up to 60,000 euro. The proposal must, of course, fit in the scope of the AI Regio project. It's AI at the edge for manufacturing. If you go to the next one, Thibaut. This is the timing. This is, I think, quite important. So the call will open in October this year. That means that we would expect that around the summer holidays or just after the summer holidays, all the details will be exposed and made public. The closing of the call will be in January 2025. So you will have 3 to 4 months to submit the projects. Then there will be evaluators, 3 evaluators, which will evaluate all the proposals. That's done in February and March 2025. And in March, the results will be communicated and the grant agreements will also be signed. So that means that in March or April, the projects can start and they will run until the end of the AI Regio project in December 2025. Next one, Thibaut. Here you see it in a time scale. So in October, the second call will be opened. The closing of the call is in January 2025, and then there's 3 months of a selection process. And in March, April, the experiments can start. There's more info to be found on the AI Regio website. You will see the link there and the EMS platform. That's where the calls should be submitted. And there's a lot more info, the generic call details, supporting documentation, the rules for experimentation and submission of proposal. You can all find it on the website. Next one, Thibaut. This is an overview. So there's 3 different documents, a guide for applicants and a proposal template, and in the middle, an FAQ document. And these 3 provide basically all the information you need to start submitting and also executing your project. Next one, Thibaut. And if you still have questions, as I said, you can go to the website, but you can also always contact myself or my colleague, which is also in this webinar, Christophe Bruinsrade. He is for Flanders Make, the project manager in the AI Regio project. And he has all the details and all the info on the project itself and how to participate in the open call. And in the end of the webinar, I think we are most happy to answer the questions you might have.
Yeah, I think thank you so much, Ger. I think we can already take a question now if there's any, because that's the call. It was very clear, but we're just a few minutes, I think, ahead. So does anyone here have a question already to ask to Ger? I'm not seeing also the chat, so no question yet. You want to keep it for a bit later?
It was very clear, apparently.
Yeah, it was very clear. No, but
I do have a question. May I?
Of course. Go ahead.
The term AI at the edge is not so common. So would you have perhaps a definition which might help us, and maybe some example of projects which actually fit this definition?
Christophe, would you like to answer that?
Yes, for example, suppose you are measuring a machine in terms of predictive maintenance, and you measure this machine and you want to do some analysis and you want to use artificial intelligence to make conclusions. Now you can do it on a server, you can do it in the cloud, but many companies, they want to keep it confidential. So you want to do the AI analysis on the machine itself, for example, on an industrial PC or on a PLC very close to the machine. So that means on the edge. So that means very locally executed AI, not in the cloud, not on a big server, but very locally. That's AI on the edge. Also, because it's often when you have a lot of throughput, a lot of data, it's much more convenient to do it really very close to the machine or the tool itself. So that means AI very locally executed, not in the cloud. That's the basic definition. So, and it is quite a common term, AI on the edge. So it's getting more and more popular.
Does that answer your question, Patrick?
Yeah. Thank you. That
Thank you,
clarifies.
Thibaut.
Thanks.
Thank you, Christophe.
Any other comment, or thank you, Christophe, for the information. Any other question from the audience? No. Okay. Well, thank you very much, both to Christophe and to Ger. I think Ger, you mentioned something very important earlier on. Is the complex thing about Cascade funding is where to find the information, and quite often you find the information, but a bit late. And here, thanks to your presentation, Ger, you're actually quite early in the process, because the dates they're not even not published yet. So the good thing here it leaves you plenty of time, you as SME, to think about your project and to prepare it on time. Normally, it's not that easy to have as much time to prepare it. So that's a good opportunity also, and here you have plenty of time. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Thibaut. Maybe one addition, yep. Thibaut, still, because that's indeed a very important point to make. You need to be very early, and as a company, it's not so easy to see all the open calls which are available in the European innovation environment. But as I think Quentin mentioned it's very important to be in close contact with your local advisors, your local innovation environment, like Pôle MecaTech, but in the Walloon region, in the Flemish region, it's Flanders Make or Digitalis. So it's very important to be in close contact with your local innovation advisors.
Thank you so much.
They can help you that they have the overview, and they can help you as well.
Exactly. I think we're perfectly on time, so we're now moving on. Thank you so much once again, Ger. We're moving on to another opportunity, which is going to be presented by my colleague Sophie Schmid, and you'll see it's a different scope, and it's also a different type of support which is provided here. I'll leave the floor to Sophie.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to present Gemstone. This is a Eurocluster program, and the objective of the program is in the framework of a Eurocluster initiative, a single market program, to highlight the 14 industrial ecosystems. So Gemstone is part of this big program. And the focus is about the support of the manufacturing sector to help the manufacturing sector develop and adopt solutions of green manufacturing. The main target of the program is, of course, SMEs in Europe mainly, but as well as technology or solution providers as manufacturing companies, so end users, in various sectors of activity, which are here mentioned, but are not limitative. So if you are not involved in one of those sectors, of course, you can also apply. And we are working on the circular economy, and so on the different steps of the circular economy, about raw materials to residual waste, to develop optimized manufacturing processes, to develop new services, eco-design and the like. So many topics can be included in this project. And we are actually involved in 2 open calls. which are very small vouchers to help you explore new technologies, new partnerships, new trade activities in the circular economy in your sector of activity, and also to reskill or upskill your staff in different topics, so different training in the circular economy topics, which could be technical training as well as more soft skills trainings about communication or new business models. And those calls are still open until the end of this year, so up to 31st of December 2024. And what's new about them? It's we opened this call in May, for the EU events. It was first of all limited to non-EU events, but now you can also apply for EU events like trade fairs and the like, where you want to explore new partnerships or to find new partners for suppliers as well as trade distributors, and to be informed about new trends in your sector of activity. And in training, so it's open for inter-training as well as intra-training, so you customize training for yourself or for your staff, but also training programs offered by training institutions. Then you can apply, and for any suggestion you have to apply for 2,000 K for lump sum for training and 1,050 euros for explore. So I will copy and paste the links to the conversation afterwards. But of course, you're welcome to give your suggestion by the email, by the form, and very simple form. Here are two examples of funding companies, one from Belgium in the industrial laundry. They bought a new machine and they sent their staff in Italy to have a very technical training about this new equipment. And this equipment was very interesting for them to optimize the industrial process and to reduce the consumption of water and of energy. And for instance, in Romania, an SME also applied to participate to the Space Suppliers Summit in Glasgow in the UK, to connect with the professionals of the sector and to participate to the program, which involved some conferences in circular economy. So here are the main contact points. Of course, our coordinator is SIM in France, but MecaTech is also involved in the project. So if you have any question, I would be pleased to answer to your questions.
I think we have time. It's still, we're right on time still to take one or two questions regarding to this gemstone opportunity. Are there any questions for Sophie yet? No questions yet, so it's very clear. Maybe I have one question for you, Sophie. It's about there's different cutoff dates. Can you tell us a bit more about how this works if you really concretely want to apply and, for example, I don't know, attend like a trade fair or a mission? How does it work in the timeline?
So we have some cutoffs every 2 months. So you can apply up to the end of June. If you have any event or training in mind for the next month, you can apply by the end of June, and we will analyze your form at the beginning of July, and we will get the answer 10 days after the end date of the cutoff. So, and the next cutoff is in September. I think we give 1 month more because of the summer period, and then it's in November and December.
So plenty of opportunities. Thank you so much, Sophie, for these additional comments and information. To build on what we said in the introduction, typically we're speaking about low, I think, barrier and low administrative barrier. Of course, here the vouchers are quite small amounts. But typically, if you speak of ease to apply, feel free to browse the links that are here. But you'll see the application form. It's very easy. It's basically asking a couple of questions, a couple of paragraphs to explain where you want to go. But it's very, very low effort.
Just if I can add good information for you as well, is that you can make a suggestion of events up to the event can happen up to March 2024, the training as well. So it's a long period where you have plenty of opportunities of events, but also of training.
Thank you very much. I will now going to continue with the last opportunity of today and that we're going to present today. And here we have the pleasure to welcome our colleague from MESAP in the EDI Expand from Italy. So Fabrizio, I don't know if you're here already, probably connected. I will now leave you the floor to well, tell us a bit more about the Green SME Open Call, basically.
Yeah, thank you, Thibaut. Yeah, first of all, I want to also thank you, Pôle MecaTech and Founders Make to this invitation to the event. Only a few words about our cluster. Of course, we are now in a Belgium environment, let's say, so only a few words about our cluster. MESAP is the cluster on smart products and manufacturing, established in Turin, so northwest of Italy, and is co-founded by the Piedmont region from the ERDF 2007. The managing entity is the Industrial Union of Turin. As you can see from the map, we are based in Piedmont and also cover Aosta Valley region. And our member industrial sector, of course, we as smart products and manufacturing, we cover several markets, mainly automotive, manufacturing, and aerospace. If you do the sum of the percentage, the total is around 300%. That means that our members work on average of 3 markets. We are 235 members, of which 80%, around 80% are SMEs. And as you can see there in the bottom right part, you can find our value chain. So from the R&D, prototyping, testing to the service, product, and processes. If you go to the next one.
I don't know if it's only me, but I have the impression that we're not hearing you, Fabrizio. Is that only me or is it the same for others?
We hear you. We hear Fabrizio.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear him.
No
problem.
Manon,
Thank
do you
you.
have the same?
No, we can hear.
Oh, no, it's me, basically. It's my, apparently there's a parameter of the thing. Sorry for the interruption, Fabrizio. Please go on. I'm going to fix the problem on my side.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide? Can you hear me now? Or I think that
yes,
it can.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that Thibaut have to change the slide. I don't know if he can hear me or Sophie. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, okay, now it works. Thank you so much. So today we are organizing this event also with the Expand project. The Expand is one of the 150 ADIH founded by European Commission. The project is coordinated by the Competence Center of Industry Manufacturing of Turin, SINC 4.0, and targets the digital transformation needs of companies and public administration in Piedmont and Aosta area. The proposal is strongly focused on the specific topics of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Due to the nature of the consortium, all the ICT panoramas can be covered and integrated with regards on other key enabling technology like advanced robotics, extended reality, Internet of Things, additive manufacturing, and so on. Within the project, a list of 50 services was drawn up, organized by categories, daily cost and duration. The Expand strategy is to provide some free of charge services, all for the public administration and some for the enterprises. As a subset of services, we are clearly defined final cost. The rationale behind this is to guarantee the full commitment of the entities requiring support. The project is open to all the company with a focus on manufacturing and industrial ecosystem, paying particular attention to those who develop or deploy technologies with a positive impact directly or indirectly on the environment and sustainability. The filtering of requests will take place through an open, transparent, and non-discriminatory mechanism, creating a selection funnel. Initially, of course, we start with reach the maximum potential interest audience, and then we'll start, let's say, the vis-a-vis discussion and act. As you can see, we clustered, as also works for other European Digital Innovation Hub, we clustered the services in 4, let's say, lines. The first one is Test Before Invest, skill and training, support to find investment, and we close, let's say, the list of services with innovation ecosystem and networking. If you can go to the next slide, we now enter in the main presentation of the day. We talk about the Green SME project and its open call for sustainability. So if you can go to, thank you. A bit of background of the call. We talk about an Horizon Europe cluster for resilience. Its duration of 3 years. 5 million of budget, of which 3 million dedicated to the financial support to third parties, and it's coordinated by the RTO of the Basque Country on advanced manufacturing technical. The Green SME is dedicated to fostering sustainability in small and medium enterprises across Europe. Its primary aim is to enhance the adoption of advanced technology and social innovation that support environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Overall, the project acts as a catalyst for the green transition of European SMEs in manufacturing, aiming to align with the EU goals for sustainability and climate neutral economy by 2050. This project is not only support the technological and economic aspect of SMEs, but also enhances their social sustainability, contributing broadly to the EU Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you. How we, let's say, help the SMEs in this, let's say, activity, how we help them to become more sustainable. They have to follow a few steps, very important steps, of course. The first one, we create a community platform that we call it the Green SME Hub, that provides a digital platform where manufacturing SME can connect with the technology provider and other stakeholders. The hub offers tools like sustainability assessment and an action plan to guide SMEs through the transformation towards sustainability practices. It's also the hub for the, let's say, the knowledge session, have a dedicated webinar on the topics, have, of course, the webinar and information related to the open call. And last but not least, there is also the Q&A session area. And thanks to this area, we help them as a consortium to go through all the information about the open call. The second step is the sustainability assessment and the action plan, of course, together. So at the core of Green SME, offering the sustainability assessment tool, which help SMEs evaluate their current sustainability practices and identify areas for improvement. Based on this assessment, an advanced sustainability action plan named ASAP is developed, serving as a roadmap for integrating sustainability technologies and practices. Last, let's say, before reaching the open call and the dedicated funded, we talk about the matchmaking issue. So there is an area inside the hub in which the SME can match their needs with the accredited provider, because in this open call, we accredited specific technology provider in order to help them in the pathway of sustainability. And after this step, we can go to the last slide. We won't talk about, of course, our open call that was launched in the mid-May, so a few days ago, and will close at the end of July. The duration is 6 months. The budget, we talk about a lump sum mechanism, as we already said, is 35K for the consortium. And who can apply, of course? A consortium made by 2 partners. One is the accredited provider, and the other one is the manufacturing SME. Because this project, as I said, sorry if I stress this point, is to support the manufacturing SME in their pathway to sustainability. The manufacturing SMEs are all the SMEs that enter in the NAICS code C, primary or secondary. And in this second and last open call, the project partner can submit a maximum of 2 proposals. If, of course, if only one, if already submitted and found in the open call 1. Of course, if submitted and not found in the open call 1, 2 proposals can still be submitted because the maximum is 2 for the total period of the open call. Here I share with you all the few information. I kindly invite you to check the QR code and the website, because there you can find all the information related to the open call. But also I'm here in this moment also for the Q&A session, sorry, and also for the future to help you through and maybe have further information about the open call, because it's not maybe so easy at the first impact, but not required let's say a huge amount of time to prepare it. And we have time because we end at the end of July to let's say reach the target on time. So thank you again all. Sorry if I ran a little bit, but of course I'm here to help you and analyze maybe Q&A session later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Fabrizio.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions. I think we have time now for questions. We have enough time here to take questions on the different calls. I think the one you presented it's also it's a very interesting call. It's also the mechanism is maybe also a bit different than the 2 previous ones. So there might be a couple of questions from the audience yet. Are there any questions from the participants?
Maybe no about questions. The accreditation mechanism.
Yeah, yes, the accreditation mechanism is quite simple because there is a dedicated funnel for, we call it the sustainability technology provider. If you can go on the website, there is a dedicated sub web page dedicated to the SNT provider. It's a simple expression of interest. We evaluated them, we accredited them through dedicated quiz and video, because you have to say, let's say, a sort of sub-partner of the project, and the sustainability technology provider will coordinate the project submitted in the open call. So is the main partner because the manufacturing SME is like the end user, let's say, of the project. As I said, here you can't find all the information, but dedicated funding, as I said, is 35K, but 25 is dedicated for the sustainability technology provider, while 10K is dedicated for the manufacturing SME. We want to use this spot, this session, to engage more manufacturing SMEs, because the tech provider has the last cutoff day to apply is by the end of May. So of course, there is still time, but if you have some, I don't know, some partner, some client, manufacturing SME that can be interested in participating in this open call, we are glad to invite them registering in the hub. And of course, if you can accredited before the end of May, you can work together in the related proposal. I want to underline that the transnational collaboration is not compulsory. So also one technology provider from Belgium can work with a manufacturing SME from Belgium. So regional or national collaboration is allowed in this open call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point. Patrick, another question? I see your mic was on.
Not from me. From me, it was clear.
No, I read the message in the chat group, and no, these type of aids doesn't fall under the minimi rule for the type of funding. So it's open to, it's not related to the minimi. So perfect. And as sorry to underline one point that is very important, and also Thibaut highlighted before, we talk about lump sum. So we don't ask any type of budget, any type of financial provision, financial statement. We don't ask timesheet. We only ask technical report. So through the technical report, we evaluated them, and we will send in, let's say, the bank transfer. So it's very simple, because we try to valorize the work and not the financial statement and so on.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answer. Indeed, as you mentioned to the question of Stephanie, the funding that comes from Horizon Europe directly is not subject to the minimis rule, so that makes it easier if you receive a lump sum. But however, if you receive, let's say, support to prepare your application from, for example, EDIs, that can also happen. Then if the EDIs, the time that they spend to support you or to help you, it can lead sometime to to small diminis. But of course, it's like small amounts even in the open call. Are there any other questions to Ger, to Sophie, or to Fabrizio on these specific calls? Or is it very clear? I guess you guys have been very, very clear. We can jump to the Q&A. I think it's done already, unless you guys have other last call for an additional questions. No, of course. Okay. So here we're reaching to the, let's say, to the end of the webinar. You've seen different calls presented here, and as you can see, you find here the information on let's say related to the contact details, the links, because there's actually a lot of information that has been provided to you in a very short amount of time. Here via these slides, you can find, let's say, the additional information on the contact links, on the links to the call text, which is always very important if you speak about Cascade funding and open calls. Ger has been showing you the type of documents that you can find typically. Don't stress out if you don't have time to write it. My colleague Manuel will send the registered participant these slides, so you will get access to this type of information. You see here the open call contacts. If you have questions related to these calls, which is on this slide. Now, what you also need to know is here we presented a couple of open calls. As I was mentioning in the introduction on Cascade funding, there's plenty, let's say, of opportunities. Okay, we have another issue with the technical equipment here. But as recurring, let's say, opportunities related to the install for projects, and there's plenty of them out there. And I have started to explain it to you. The context of EDIs is a good way to also to help you and to help you to identify those things. And depending also on the, let's say, the type of service that the EDIs are providing, different EDIs, depending on where you are, can help you to guide you through this process. It can help you to support through these open calls, but can help you to screen, let's say, different opportunities or to go in discussion with you as an SME to access funding. So Wallop can do this, and for Walloon SMEs, and here you have contacts of Sophie and of myself that can guide you through this. I think Ger mentioned it already. Digitalis has a similar also offer for Flemish SMEs. So if you have a question also which are related to funding, you're interested in this topic and you want to dig in, very much invite you to also get in touch with Ger if you're from Flanders, with us if you're from Wallonia, and with Fabrizio and Mizappa if you're interested, if you're an Italian company. Just to also give a few illustration of what happens if you're interested into this. If you're interested to get additional support in the framework of WALHub, we can give you additional guidance for finance. Typically, it can be collective actions, webinars like this one, for example, which are free of charge in our case. There's a first phase of orientation that we can provide you with an individual meeting with you to discuss about your idea and things like this. That's also free of charge. If you want to go further in a second phase for advanced support, we can go also a bit further in the support, doing desk search, like additional meetings, etc., etc. I'm not going into detail on this topic, but it's also free of charge. But there's this de minimis form to be signed. Why? Because the time that we have within the EDI is also funded by regional money. So just to come back on the question of Stephanie. But should you get funding from a Cascade funding or at European level, that's not subject to de minimis. So that's it, for example, for WALHub, but Digitalis is also providing something similar. So I don't know, Ger, if you want to add something on this slide or not.
It's basically this is basically the same as you already explained, Thibaut. So we have the same service provision as WALHub has. So we can identify regional funding opportunities for you. Also these Cascade funding calls. We can link you with EU financing bodies, and we can find the optimal project financing when you want to embark in a digital project, and also do matchmaking sessions with private investors if necessary. And we have coaching sessions. These last two, they are not for free. The rest is for free. But these last two are, let's say, private sessions which need to be paid. So there's a lot of different services available, in the EDIs.
Thank you so much. Any last questions from the participant, or it's all very clear? It seems to be very clear. And the only thing that, yeah, and right on time. I was pessimistic in the beginning, but we're right on time. So the only thing I still have to do is to thank very much all the colleagues, and especially the speakers that have done a terrific job by staying on time and being very clear. That's not always easy. To thank also our colleague Manon, who's been helping in all the preparation of this meeting, and also, of course, to all of you participants for your attention. And as we mentioned, we hope to get in touch with you and discussion with you to discuss about project idea, because there's a lot that we can do for you wherever you are located, as you've seen. So that's it from our side. Thank you so much for being with us, and as we say, bon appétit if you plan to have lunch now, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Bye, thank you.